Hello everybody. I'm just going to comment down here so everyone knows what we're up to, and and then I'm gonna see if I can figure out how to pin it. Okay, cool. So today we are finally able to show you the first V Magazine Gigi Journal Part 2. And I'm so excited to I opened it today and it's just so crazy to finally have it in my hands because I've been working on this with the V Magazine team over emails and Zoom meetings and conference calls and Dropboxes, and it's been on a computer the whole time because we can't be together. So I couldn't be in the V Magazine office to hold the pages and stuff like that. So to open it finally today was really exciting. And I'm outside because what's really cool is the cover is actually printed in a UV ink, which means that when it's inside your house, it's almost like, I'll show you. I just have it turned upside down because since I walked outside, it started its magic. But when it's in your house, it'll be almost like you can't see the cover. And then when you take it outside or in the sun, or if the sun comes through your window, the cover will appear. And then when you later, I can't do this outside obviously right now, but later I'll put on my stories, when you take it into the dark, it goes glow in the dark, which is really crazy. We didn't know if it would work, and I think Stephen Gann, who's my friend and the editor-in-chief of V Magazine, he probably thought I was crazy when he was like, okay, so we have this new technology where we could do UV ink or glow in the dark, and I was like, can we do both? So they did it. They got it done for me, and I'm so grateful. So I'm going to show you really quick. I'm going to see if it... Okay, so my notebook was over it, so you can kind of see, the difference. So this is where it kind of started to get darker, but, here, the lightest part is where my notebook was on top, so where it has the least. But, hold on, can I switch the camera? Okay, so... this lightest part is what the journal will look like when it's just in your house. And then when you walk it into the sun, it will slowly start to get darker and appear, and it's magic. It's just so cool to see. I don't understand how they print it like that, how it works, but it's so cool. And this is a painting that I did in quarantine while all the artists were obviously working on their contributions for the journal. I thought that obviously I should be doing work too besides the emails and everything. So I painted this originally acrylic on paper, and then they made it into the cover. And I asked you guys to ask questions earlier on my stories, and one of the questions was who did the journal art? So 'twas me, yours truly, with love. And other questions I got regarding the cover were, how did I get the concept for the cover? And it obviously started with the title. It said bad connection. Is it connected? Okay. It started with the title of the journal, which is Quarantine, is a take on quarantine with time in it. Celebrating visual artists, part 2, the Gigi Journal. And this is kind of this poster font. I've been doing. It keeps saying reconnecting. I don't know if it's it keeps saying reconnecting, but hopefully it's good. That I've been doing since high school, and also this kind of like checker effect I've been doing since high school. I used to do it with like other things, like I don't know, whatever. I was drawing cars in my visual arts class, but I kind of combined them to make the journal. Oh, here you can see, look, like that part was in the shade. See how it kind of got lighter there, and then like where I put my hand. See? Oh my god, it's so fun. I'm like experimenting with it for the first time today. Let's see. Fun. And then, yeah, like I said, when you take it in the dark, it will be glow in the dark. Kind of glows, honestly, when it... Okay. So, I'm going to be going through the journal with you guys, taking you through it. I wrote down some of the questions. A lot of the questions were similar, so I kind of like tried to like obviously just list a few that I thought were kind of repetitive and I think really what you guys want to hear. But also besides that, I'm just going to take you through and kind of show you pretty much the whole journal and tell you about the artist and all that stuff. A lot of the questions were not regarding the journal, were regarding my pregnancy, which I am so grateful for the positive comments and the questions and wanting just to know that we're all good and safe and everything's going great, and I love you guys, and I do appreciate those positive comments. Obviously, I think a lot of people are confused why I'm not sharing more, but like I'm pregnant through a pandemic. Like obviously my pregnancy is not the most important thing going on in the world. That's a reason that I've felt that it's not really something that I need to share apart from with my family and friends. Obviously, a lot of people have lost lives due to coronavirus. That was in the beginning of quarantine and still happening. And then we moved, obviously, into the reemergence of the BLM movement, and I thought that our presence on social media should be used for that. I have been taking a lot of pictures of my bump and sending it to friends and family, and it's been really cute and exciting, and I'm trying to document it well because I've heard a lot of people say, obviously, make sure you don't miss it, and I will be sharing stuff like that in the future. Like I just am not rushed to do it, and I feel like right now I just want to experience it, and I write in my journal a lot, and I just don't want to like worry about waking up every day during my pregnancy and like worry about having to like look cute or post something, and like, you know, so a lot of your questions are about that, and I just wanted to do that. But this is what I was talking about last time I did a live. From the front, okay, so like pregnancy, all I want to wear is like loose stuff. This is not sponsored. The Holiday, the brand, sent me these, I don't even know what it's made of, like some linen kind of vibe, like a few sets, and it's all I want to wear. So Holiday, if you're watching, these sets have this is a pants one, but the shorts one, they come in like so many cute different patterns, and it's like all I wanted to wear because I can wear like the drawstring pants below my belly, and then like these are open, so they're not like so tight, and like it's so fucking hot and sweaty, especially when you're pregnant, just like really hot and sweaty. But anyways, everyone's like, oh, you didn't look pregnant in your jumpsuit on your last live. That's because this way I'm gonna look normally how I look in this. The reason I said it's a different story is like, okay, there's my belly, y'all. Like, it's there. It's just that from the front, it's different, you know what I mean? Like, oh my god, there's so many bugs right now. Ew. Just don't want to get bit. But anyways, these are like so comfortable. So Holiday, if you're watching, I'm obsessed. And if you make these sets in like 100 other colors, I will take them. And I appreciate it. But yeah, they let my belly air out because it's like just so hot. So yeah, I love you all, and I really appreciate your positive messages. I'm just like taking my time with sharing my pregnancy, and you guys will see it when you see it. I'm getting cute. I'm getting cute stuff off. And my hair looks dark because I just showered, because it's always hot. But anyways, we're here for the V Magazine Gigi Journal Part 2. Another question I got is, where was Part 1? So Part 1 was in like 2017, I want to say. It was like a small, oh, this is another one I got. Hold on, let me just write it down so I don't forget. It was a like about 15 page, maybe less, maybe like 10 to 15 page insert in an actual V Magazine issue. So like you would get a normal V Magazine issue, then inside you pulled it out, and it was an assortment of Polaroids that I took over Fashion Month. It was like, that's why it was called Gigi Journal originally, is it was like a journal of photos and notes and like things that I took during Fashion Month of like people that I work with and that inspire me and who I love, and my friends and coworkers and stuff like that. And that was Part 1. So Part 2 became really different because the concept originally, so this is how it looks when it's out of the sun. You guys saw it earlier when it was in the sun. I'm gonna put it in the sun for 1 second so then you can see it again with the orangeness. The concept came to be because Part 2, I really wanted Part 2 to be to involve artists that I found on social media, and we started talking about it kind of like mid last year, and it kind of at first was like, oh, maybe we'll do like more of like a normal like editorial kind of like story as the Gigi Journal, where maybe we would do like accessories and send different artists accessories that I've followed online for a long time, and then they kind of take that accessory and make it into a piece like that has to do with like their way of working. And then obviously by the time that it came around to start doing Gigi Journal Part 2, we were in the middle of quarantine, and I was like, what is gonna like, one, make sense like for this time, be relevant, be something that people like actually can connect to. Like, it just didn't really feel right to do like something that had to do with me really, or that had to do with like fashion even. And I also like realized that I wanted it to be more something that wasn't just like artists that I already follow that might already have a following. And it didn't necessarily have to do with like, I don't know, I wanted it to feel more like the world coming together to make something. Like, so many people that like don't know each other, and you know, like, I've never met these artists. These are even the ones that I follow, like that I wanted to include in the first place. Like, I never have met most of them. There's one artist that I know personally, Austin, who's a really good friend of mine, one of my best friends, and she is in it. So like, 10 of them are artists that I already followed, that I was a huge fan of, that I felt like I wanted to be part of the journal. And then I think 27, I'll count at the end, but 27 of them are artists who hashtagged their art, their work on Instagram. It was 5 weeks that we did the artist search. So over that amount of time, people hashtagged their work. Then me and the V Magazine team went through them. I chose my favorite artists out of all of those, and then we contacted them, gave them the theme, started emailing back and forth. Some people kind of really like knew what they wanted to do with the concept, and like that was great. It was also amazing for the artists that like gave me ideas, and we can go back and forth, and like it was more of a conversation and like a creative direction experience for how they were going to take on the concept. So the concept was Quarantine, as it's titled, but that includes either the artist's experience in quarantine or honoring essential workers. So those were the things that they could choose from. And then like over time they sent stuff back and forth, their process, and then their final images were sent in. The questionnaires, which I'll show you, are really fun. We told them that we wanted, obviously, like it to be an extension of their work. So this is it, like when it's half in sunlight. That's what's cool, is like it appears. So front cover. Then it's gonna open to, oh yeah, another thing. I'll say that at the end. So opens to my editor's letter. See here. It just talks about the process, how we chose people, then like the Black Lives Matter movement having kind of this like big resurgence during quarantine, and how I felt that going to print with this journal, because we started, like the artists started their pieces weeks before, you know, all of like the protesting and everything started. So even if they had wanted to have their pieces have something to do with the Black Lives Matter movement, it was like we were going to print. So I wanted to give space for Black American artists to comment on that if they wanted, but also like their experience obviously is valuable regardless if it has to do with the movement or not, or with the protesting or not. Like, sorry, my mom called. I think it paused. Mommy, if you're watching, you can't call me during a live, girl. What was I saying? Pregnancy brain, it's real. So not only did I want to give time for that, but also I wanted it to reflect voices, Black voices that could use pages for whatever they deemed necessary. And so and also a percentage of the proceeds will go to these 4 organizations: Black Lives Matter, NAACP, ACLU, and Campaign Zero. It explains what their missions are. And I also will be matching in donation everything that is raised from the sales. I'll be matching it in donation to those charities. So the first 2 spreads of the journal are from amazing Black American voices, leaders, creatives, I will introduce them now. This one is by Cleo Wade and DeRay McKesson, and the words are by DeRay, and then Cleo did the art in her obviously legendary and iconic text that she does her art in. You guys can find all of the contributors' tags and accounts and names in my I want to say my first post about the V Magazine Journal. I'll put it on my most recent post so you have all their ats, but also all their ats are at the bottom of the book so you can find them. This says, "Hope is the belief that our tomorrows can be better than our todays. Hope is not magic, hope is work." I love it. This is by the iconic Miss Patrice. She is a co-founder of Black Lives Matter. I can't believe that she's in this journal. Honestly, I knew Cleo previously, and obviously such an honor to have her. Was so excited, and I met DeRay through Cleo. Patrice I'd never met, and I DM'd her, not even thinking she would see my DM or would ever reply or anything. And she was so sweet, and I am so honored to have her in the journal. And she did a beautiful meditation. It's called A Meditation on Black Survival, and it's kind of like a train of thought piece, and it's so beautiful. I'm not going to read all of them to you because I want you guys to see it in her handwriting and read it for yourselves. But I'm so honored to have her. Then we have my angel, Sophia Rowe. If you guys haven't seen my live with Sophia Rowe, then you should go to my Instagram TV and watch it. We had an amazing conversation. She's been someone whose lives have really been so educational for me, eye-opening. It's just a really amazing place to sit and listen and learn, and you should watch them. She's also, hi Soph! Oh my god, she's watching! She's also a chef, and all of her recipes are so fun and good and easy and fresh and yum. And so if I'm gonna make that salad you made last week, this week. But anyways, this is a beautiful poem. Sophia, tell me if it's a poem. Yeah. It's called "He Said We Don't Bleed, He Was Wrong." It's a really powerful piece on this experience that she had. I believe it's a real experience, so correct me if I'm wrong, where she overheard this guy's friend saying black girls don't bleed when they lose their virginity, their bodies are just different. And so this piece is based on that, and kind of, I think, has to do with it ends with "I'm one of the lucky ones," because she realized that her body bleeding from losing her virginity was not the last time that she would feel invalidated for being black, but it would be the most bloody, and therefore she is lucky. Which is just when I read it, I was oh, damn. So anyways, again, I'm not going to read you the actual full poems because you just need to read them yourself and listen to these people and follow these people and learn from them, because they're just amazing. And Nicole Counts is a writer. She's the senior editor at One World, and she wrote a beautiful story. It's a story, and it's a story about a dream, I believe, that she also really had. And it's really, it's longer than a poem. It's a story, and it's beautiful. And anyways, all these written pieces that it starts with are just like really amazing. Also mostly women. Love. And you should take the time to read them before you start this journal. So then we go into the artists, and they're from all over the world. What's really amazing about this journal is that really like, and the reason we did the advertising like videos with that map that like turned and it like zoomed into the different cities is like I wanted to show really that like we're sending you this journal, this book, this coffee table book that I know is $55, but like it's not a magazine. Like it's a book. Like it's gonna sit on your table, and this is like so much hard work from artists from all over the world that really like put hours and hours into these pieces. And this is a 60, how many pages? It's like almost 67 pages. So yeah, like it's $55, but it's less than $1 per page, and like you're getting art from amazing people. And yeah, it's really something that we are sending as a keepsake of this time, a timestamp, a time capsule of this time, like that you can have on your table and know that like it's sitting in your living room with love from our living rooms where we worked on it to yours. So yeah, I hope you guys love it, and we will start with, it starts with Bridget Hoffman, who's 28 years old. She's from Miami. She lives in Germany, I believe. And I love her piece because it's like how she felt. It's how she felt in the beginning of quarantine, where she felt like she couldn't sanitize enough spaces at once, at the same time, you know? And I feel, and that's what, like, I want you guys to flip through this journal and feel like you can relate to at least one piece in here. Because they're, like, some of them are hilarious. Like, this is so funny. She just felt like she didn't have enough arms, legs, masks, sanitizers. We all felt that, like, we're going through the grocery store, like, oh, there's no more, like, hand wash, sanitizer, disinfectant wipes, anything. Like, you're starting to get really creative with, like, the stuff you have. Like, oh, I'll just use, like, baby. What was weird, something that happened during quarantine is, like, all the hand soap was gone, but, like, the child hand soap wasn't gone, as if, like, the child hand soap isn't soap. Like, I was fine with buying the child hand soap. I don't know. Just funny things. So what's great about when you open these pages is that you'll get a questionnaire for each artist. Like, this is their art piece, and this is their questionnaire that has the same questions, but they all decorated them and answered them really differently. And yeah, it's very fun. This is by Shantae, and Shantae did this beautiful piece on wood. It's a painting. I love it. And you know, they explain their piece. Shantae said, I wanted to honor our essential workers and our marginalized communities. I decided to paint local folks who I know and admire, our family friend and cleaning lady since childhood, a healing justice advocate, and a mother, and an old friend representing our local farmers. So she's from Santa Barbara, California, my original hometown where I lived till before high school, and I'm really proud to have her in the book. She was someone that we also found through the went through the artist submission process on social media, and I just think her piece is so beautiful. But you can read about, like, the questions go from, you know, it has their hometowns. Shantae was born in Maui, raised in Santa Barbara. So these members are from Santa Barbara, these community members, so beautiful. And it says their current locations, what materials they used, when their pieces were started and completed, explaining their piece, what they learned, like how their creative process changed during quarantine, when they first learned their craft, how they've grown creatively during quarantine, what keepsakes they had around. So it kind of like goes through their creative process during quarantine. This is Katerina, who goes by Kate. She's an embroidery artist, which is just insane to me. Like, I love. And she obviously embroidered this beautiful girl with a mask on, to explain that obviously we are using the mask for the embetterment of others and for a worldwide safety effort. Her piece is titled "The Flowering of the Soul." She's from the Ukraine and now lives in Russia. This is one of my favorites. They're all one of my favorites. Like, it's really hard, but Adrian's really, I feel like, has such movement. So beautiful. It's called Racing for Freedom. It's so amazing. This is by Adrian Brandon. And, yeah, like I said, you can find all their tags on my The Magazine post. I'll also put them on my first one. This is Tetsuya Tanaka, who is a miniature artist. He's not miniature. The things he uses is miniature. And I've been following him for a long time, like, and when I always say, like, oh, people are like, who do you follow on Instagram? Like, all these, like, random creatives, like, that's what I like to fill my feed with, because it just, like, gives me, I feel like, an escape from the normal feed, and I feel like, I don't know, creativity is what, like, when I'm, like, at work and stressed out and, like, in my head, I think about, like, on my days off, like, what can I do creatively that will, like, get me back, like, centered and feeling, like, peaceful and calm, and, like, it's how I rejuvenate myself, like, doing random creative things, and following creatives like this, is, like, you know, yeah, it gets me through, like, stressful days at work, and it makes me be like, okay, when I get a day off, I'm gonna do something, not that I've ever attempted, like, as good as Tetsuya, Mr. Tanaka, but this is insane. This is what he did, you guys, like, it's a mask that he made into a swimming pool. Like, hello, and I just love him. Again, you can see all of their handles in here. Tanaka Tetsuya. Every day he takes something that, like, we just see every day. You know what I mean? Like, we just see it normally, and then he turns it into a wonderland that you're just like, wow. How does his brain do that? And I always wonder, Mr. Tanaka, if you're watching, I don't know what time it is in Japan right now, but I always wonder if he starts with the piece that becomes the set, and then he, like, stares at it for hours, and then he makes it into something. Like, if he's, here, the theme was quarantine, so I get the mask, but, like, or if he, like, wakes up in the middle of the night and he's like, a mask is a pool, So, yeah. You can read all about Tetsuya and all the other artists in their questionnaires. Love. Okay, this is Chloe. She's from Vietnam and now lives in Berlin. So beautiful. I love her stuff. I'm gonna read what she said, but, like, yeah. So I'll read what she said and then I'll explain kind of what we talked about in our emails. But she said, before quarantine was ordered in Germany, I was very stressed because of the COVID-19 related attacks against Asians. In quarantine, I often find myself stuck between a peaceful feeling of being able to get away from the hate and waves of anxiety about an uncertain future. Despite everything, I'm still very thankful to be healthy, to have a place to stay, and to have food on the table. That's why I want to express vulnerability, anxiety, and also peace through this artwork. And although I cannot relate to racial discrimination during this time or ever, I can relate to the feeling of going back and forth between the anxieties of being in quarantine and also the peace. Like, I feel, and before Chloe brought the part of it that made her feel stressed out in terms of the attacks against Asians due to COVID and people trying to blame the virus on Asians and take it out on Asians, which is obviously horrible. We talked a lot about in our emails that, like, as creative people, like, there are some, like, I'm okay with, like, having alone time and quiet time, and, like, that usually brings me peace, you know what I mean? But it's kind of this, like, new way of experiencing those peaceful times that is strange, that you kind of have to be like, oh, wait, like, some days I'm gonna feel peaceful and like myself and how, like, it usually makes me feel, and then some days I'm gonna have anxiety, and, like, that's okay. And I love this drawing she did that's kind of an expression of feeling all those feels. So thank you, Chloe. This is Tess Murdoch, who is from Los Angeles and now lives in Brooklyn, and I love her work too. She also was an artist that that submitted her work over social media. And unless I mention that I have followed them for a long time, then they are someone who submitted their work and that we could find through social media, which I think was such an amazing part of making this journal. And what I loved about Tess's piece is that she used all of her dyeing technique that she used for the fabrics were homemade dyes, which I think, like, mends so well with the quarantine theme and, like, making something really at home. And then also the importance of hand stitching, the meditative quality of it, which I think so many of us had the desire to get back to handmade things during this time, and to start using our hands and getting reconnected with knitting or drawing or sewing or cooking or sculpting or baking or, you know, whatever it was that, like, maybe we've always loved but we forgot about in, like, the hype of life. And so she really wanted to, like, kind of celebrate that kind of handmade feeling, and also then through that celebrating the hand work that our essential workers are doing. So the people that obviously on the front medical line that are using their hands to help every day and putting themselves at risk, the people that are packing our grocery stores, the people that are carrying our boxes and getting us our shipments and packages. And I just thought that that's why I love this journal too, is like there's obviously like really literal takes on quarantine as a theme, but there's also really abstract takes, and that's why I wanted each artist to have a questionnaire, because I think that there's so many different ways of expressing yourself creatively, and especially during this time, and it doesn't have to look one way. And yeah. Thank you, Tess. If I haven't said thank you to all of the artists as I've gone by, obviously thank you to all. This is Austin, who is from Jersey, still lives in South Jersey, and he's quarantined with his parents, and he's a photographer, and I love this because he originally sent me a portrait of Martin Luther King Jr., and I am blanking on who else was in the portrait, but he wanted to either celebrate that portrait with his family or with community leaders, and I said either one I think would be so beautiful, and he ended up doing him and his parents in their living room. If you go on vmagazine.com right now, you can see all of everyone's like making of behind the scenes stuff, and I love this because like it looks like very professional, obviously, and like such a beautiful, striking picture, but like he literally did it in his parents' living room, like in quarantine. I love it. It's titled Portrait of an American Family, and in his explanation of his piece, he said, "I have been documenting my family during the quarantine, so right away I knew that I wanted them to be the subject for this piece. At the same time, I wanted to make a statement in support of the Black Lives Matter movement. To add to the theme of quarantine, I decided to photograph my family in our living room rather than a photo studio." It's so beautiful. Thank you, Austin. This is such a happy piece. This is by Valeria, who is from Buenos Aires, Argentina, and this is so happy. This is a piece that she did to celebrate how, I'm sure everyone saw like videos of places like getting on, you know, different cities all around the world, getting on their rooftops and playing music for each other and like sharing, or you know, even people did like workout classes or like bingo, I think I saw like from people's rooftops, and this is like so cute. So this is in Buenos Aires, and obviously is kind of a whimsical take on sharing with your neighbors while socially distanced, while in quarantine, and kind of popping your heads out the windows. And I also, it reminds me of like when people were coming out at the end of the day to clap for the healthcare workers, and bang pans and stuff like that. And she explained that even in sad, gray moments like this, there is a light around us, and it is only a matter of looking up and observing. All her work is so colorful. It's so beautiful. Sheena is an artist that I've been following for a little bit of time now. She is a embroidery artist, and I just love like that even though it is stitched, like her work always has like movement. I don't know if you can see, like the strands of hair are loose, and like I don't know, there's just such like a delicateness even though I think like embroidery is so complex, like it's so delicate, and like I just feel like you can like reach in and grab her work. I just love it. And I think like a lot of people were cutting their own hair in quarantine. Like obviously when we feel like we can't control a lot and we're stuck, something we can't control is our hair, or like, you know, doing makeup, or like, I don't know, wearing crazy pajamas. So yeah, I love this piece. I think it's so peaceful, and that's why I've loved following Sheena, is like when I scroll past her stuff, I'm just like, I feel like I stitched it with her, even though I definitely didn't. She's major. Also, I saw someone on here say, how do I get this? Today on newsstands, on select newsstands, I should say. So call like your local, call your local place that usually sells like a high fashion magazine, even though it is a book. It's on newsstands and like maybe some bookstores that sell fashion magazines, but you can also order it online. The link is in my profile bio. And I appreciate all of the compliments. I'm trying to like watch what you guys are saying and also show you the journal at the same time. This is really long. How long have we been here? Are you guys getting tired of this? Just let me know. Be like, girl, go take a nap. I'll be like, okay. Okay, Andrea, I'm obsessed with. You guys need to follow Andrea because, like, I feel like a print, I mean, obviously, when you guys see her print work in details, from here, you guys don't even know what this is. Like, I'm gonna blow your mind right now. This is a still of what Andrea usually does, which is felt animation. Like, she'll cook a whole spaghetti dinner using, like, a tiny felt set. I mean, not real spaghetti that you eat, but, like, felt spaghetti. And it's so beautiful. And this is in her kitchen set that is fully made from felt. Can you see that? Like, it is so beautiful. And I think it's so funny because this is, like, so telling of quarantine. It's like, okay, it goes week 1, week 2, week 3. It's split in 3. And week 1 is like so cute. All, you know, the kitchen's organized. We have a pie here, pie going in, a little bread that she just made her recipe book, where we were all like, you know, the moment of quarantine where everyone was like, oh, banana bread, and like all of a sudden like wanted to like reconnect with their baking roots. And then, like, you know, in week 2, she's moved into boxed wine and pasta, and like things are spilled over, and you're getting a little over like romanticizing quarantine. And then week 3 is just a mask and gloves and takeout. And I feel like we all have gone through like multiple stages of this, where you're like, okay, this week I'm gonna bake. Okay, this week I'm like kind of like over it and just want to like chill a little bit more, and I'm kind of over the things that like I usually always make for myself. And then you like really want to obviously support your local businesses. Also, you just like don't want to cook anymore, and like you're over your own cooking, even if like you're good at it. And then you like might make a pie again. I don't know. I feel like I've been through like multiple stages of like these 3 steps. And yeah. I should say, oh, I don't think I didn't say Sheena, who does the embroidery pieces, is from Malaysia. She's currently in Malaysia also. Andrea is from North Carolina and now lives in Washington. Now we're moving on to Holly, who is from the UK. I love this piece. She explained that she went through 2 different ideas. One being like kind of a family portrait of her and her mom, who's staying with her and her son in quarantine right now, and like what they kind of do chilling at home in the living room. And then her other idea was kind of like a view from out of her window, like watching other people walk by. And I think she had one more concept that was like about her local like marketplace, and obviously celebrating the essential workers that were keeping that stocked and running. And she ended up going with a beautiful, I want to say it's oil. Yeah, so she painted this oil on wood, and it's a beautiful piece of her grandma and her son and herself. She's painting, obviously. Her son is reading and playing with cars and having a snack, and her mom's reading the newspaper, I think. It's so beautiful. This next artist is also from the UK. She's currently in Essex. Her name is Martha Haversham, and I love Martha. I've also been following Martha for a while now. Martha takes found items and gives them a new life by making them into like a fashion image, but like she'll literally like, it's a piece of trash that she makes into, that she just sees a different life for it, and then she puts like an old body piece or like body part or face or whatever on it to make it something else. So this is a mask that she found that she gave legs, and she made it into a skirt. It's called Mask Mini Pandemic Collection, which I think is so fun. Let's read something from what Martha said. Okay, how have you grown creatively during quarantine if you feel you have? She said, the time has allowed me to see a body of work as a visual diary, a journal too. I have always been fascinated by Victorian lady seaweed collectors and the 50-year craze for ferns. I have a beautiful album from 1848. My collections have been open-ended, however, for a few weeks stint, I kept a written record of my walks using my freedom as a carer under lockdown. Mom had a fall. The pandemics were brave and kind. So many stories. Her ECG printout has a very beautiful pattern. So I just love these questionnaires because they really give like an insight into what each person obviously is going through, but through even hardship, or not that being a caregiver is a hardship, but hardships for family members or whatever, that people are still being creative and using it as a way to cope and also expand their own like work or way that they do their work. So I love that. This is Misha, who I started following a bit ago, and we actually went to the same university, different times. We didn't know each other in university, but I've been following her for a bit of time now, and we met like randomly backstage at a show. She like came up to me and she's like, "Hi, don't want to bother you while you're working, but I'm Misha, you follow me." And I was like, "No way, I love your stuff." So cute. So I was really excited to have her in this, and she had a few ideas, and we kind of narrowed it down to one of her, she does like sculpted fashion pieces, like wearable sculptures that are so beautiful. You should, like, she does like body casting and just like such a beautiful expression of the female body. And she did a mask as a sculpture, which obviously, like, people are so annoying with art sometimes. Like, I see people comment and, like, you don't need to take it that literally. Like, no, this is not a mask you're gonna wear to the grocery store. It's an artistic expression of the theme. It's not that serious. Just, like, have an open mind, people, please. So, yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to read the comments and do this at the same time. But, like, some of you are just having, like, your own conversation that I'm not a part of in there. Let's see. Let's read one of Misha's answers. one of the questions is, how and when did you first learn your craft? What drew you to it? And she says, I first began experimenting with body casting as sculptural garments at Parsons, which is the new school where we both went. I didn't go to Parsons, I went to Eugene Lang. Parsons is the art school. While working on my thesis collection to honor the strength and agency of Pakistani women, I used my physical body as a visual anchor and haven't looked back since. And her stuff is so beautiful, you guys should really check it out. Okay. Love Misha. This is Hyai, who, I love her story. Okay, so her and her husband own a laundromat in Texas. She's from Seoul, South Korea, and I love, like, I obviously, when I chose these people, like, I just saw their work and it spoke to me and I chose them, and then obviously after I chose them I learned about them, right? So to hear her story, like, she's a mom of 5 kids, and I think, like, her kids made her account and then, like, helped her, like, submit her work for this. And I just love that, like, this was a time that she's, like, really been able to, like, focus on her craft and get back to something that really makes her happy. Like, this is not what she does for a living. It's something that she just, it's what she studied at school in South Korea. And then she also worked as a colorist at a fashion company until she immigrated to the US when she was 29 years old. So now she doesn't do it for a living, but her art is so great. So it's like textile work, but she put it on this beautiful background that's made from canvas, metal, fabric, and paper, and then her piece is yarn. And at first, she sent me a version with pictures of her family, then sent me another version without, and I was like, no, girl, we want the pictures of your family. They're so cute. I'm so obsessed. Oh my god, look how major she is. I'm obsessed. Look. Serving major looks. I love. And she said it's just been really nice to have her family, all her kids came back home when this started, when quarantine started, and after her husband's recent cancer diagnosis, they've all been able to, like, really spend this time together, and I just am really happy for them, and I'm sending your family love and support, and I hope your husband is feeling as good as possible. Next is Erica. Oh, also, I don't know the name of their laundromat, but if you can find out and support their business in Plano, Texas, do that. Next is Erica Lee Sears, who is from Portland, lives in Portland, Oregon, and she explained that she's a mom, and her time right now of peace and solitude and quiet and harmony is in the bath with a little glass of bubbly, and I love that. And she did a oil on wood piece of her peaceful time, which is so cute. I love it. Her 3 keepsakes that were around her while she created were her collection of vintage cameras, her programs from future art exhibits, and the first dollar she ever made off a painting. So I don't know if she, like, has that framed, but it's so cute. I love, like, hearing what they had around them. And I'm just giving you, like, snippets of what each artist said. You can, like, learn all of this about each artist with each one. This is Morgan. I don't know if she likes to go by Faux by Mo, which is her account, Faux by Mo, or Morgan, but her name is Morgan or Mo. I'm sorry if I wasn't supposed to call you Morgan Mo. But it's so funny because actually, like, after we'd been, like, going back and forth, one of our editors at V Magazine, they were emailing and she was like, yo, it's me, Morgan, like, we went to high school together. And he was like, what? And she's like, yeah, like, Mo, Faux by Mo, but it's me, Morgan. And then they realized that they went to high school together and they know each other. It's, like, so cute, and it's such a small world. Obviously, again, picked her photos because I thought she was amazing, like, not because we have any connection to these people or, like, realize that we have a connection, but then through, like, learning about them, you make these connections, and, like, that's so cute, and I love it. Anyways, this is the beautiful piece. This is Morgan photographed by herself in quarantine. She said that quarantine has really been a time where she's obviously not been able to use models and therefore has really turned the camera on herself, and which was scary for her, which, like, you're so major. So I'm really proud of her for making this piece and turning the camera on herself even if it was scary. And these are pictures that her boyfriend took of, like, how she did her setup in her living room. I love it. She's from Philly. Did I say that? Philadelphia. And what's so amazing about this crown is that, does she write about it? Hold on, let me look. Oh yeah, she said in materials used, her Canon camera, and then a crown she made of Afro picks, a paper plate, paper flowers, a lot of hot glue, and gold spray paint. It is so beautiful. Like, if she didn't tell you what it was made of, you would never know. But, like, I just think the symbolism of using Afro picks and making this crown is just so, like, amazing and beautiful, and that it's homemade and, like, with things that, like, you could find at home is just, like, so great for this time, again, because we're all locked in our homes, and, like, we have to use what's around, you know what I mean? And I just love this, Morgan Mo. Okay, she'll like tell me if I'm, like, in trouble for calling her Morgan, but anyways. Also, it's so funny that I talk like I know these people. We know each other, like, solely through emails from, like, finding each other online and then making this, so it's so funny, but, like, I genuinely have love for them. Okay, Adam Hillman is someone who I've been following for a really long time. You need to follow him. Like, he's just so creative with objects and then turning the objects into abstract collages that then make, like, another thing. So, like, from far away, this looks like a box, right? Adam wanted to do one of his pieces only using things you can find at home. So as I zoom in, you're gonna realize this is made of paper clips, Q-tips, and toothpick. Is my service going out? Can you guys tell me if my service is going out? I keep saying reconnecting. Okay. How cool is that? So, like, look. If it's from back here, like, that's wild. And then you zoom in, and it's things that, like, you have at home. Like, you can, I mean, like, you're definitely not going to be as good as Adam at this, like, when you first start. He's a pro, and, like, his stuff is so amazing. His Instagram is WITENRY. I never actually know how to pronounce it. Whitenry? Adam, let me know. He is from New Jersey, currently in New Jersey. Awesome artist. Love following him. Love that he's in this journal. Thank you so much, Adam. Okay. Am I going really slow? Oh my god. We're, like, halfway through. I'm so sorry. Anyways, these are all the artists that you're getting in this journal. So just, like, this is why you should order it. This is by one of my best friends, Austin. This is so cool. It's called Hypothetical 6 Feet. This is like one of the first paintings that she made in quarantine. She literally made it in March, finished it in May. Like, she kind of like works on her pieces over time. It was something that she kind of started and then stopped and then kept going. And what's really amazing about this piece is that, like, for Austin's work, it's really rare for her characters to not be touching each other. So I just loved this because it says hypothetical 6 feet. They're facing away from each other. I just love her. I only just started collecting art, but like most of the art that I have collected is Austin's. So I like to say that I'm an Austin collector. But Austin's from Florida. She lives in LA. Her studio's in downtown LA, so this was made in the downtown, with oil paint and charcoal on canvas. Let's see which Oh, I like this. I said, final thoughts on this project or your process behind it. She said, record the times at all times. Love. I'm gonna save this live, just so everyone knows. Lale is from Melbourne, as the Australians call it. She still lives there. She's so awesome. She's a mom and started this account, I'm guessing, after she started making food, try to look more fun for her child, Jacob, and I believe she has 2 kids now. But her account is titled Jacob's Food Diaries, and she makes characters out of food. This is gonna blow your mind. This is made out of food. Okay, ready? This is celebrating healthcare workers as the superheroes of this time. Can you guys see this? This is made of mashed potato, pickle, red capsicum, which is bell peppers, I believe, gold ropes, and flatbread. Insane. So insane. I love her stuff. Her stuff makes me so happy. I mean, like, I hope that when I'm a mom, I have, like, the patience to, like, really go for it. I don't think it would be that good, but I'm gonna try. My mom used to make me, like, little, like, you know, it would be rice and chicken for dinner or whatever, and she would, like, chop it up, and then she'd, like, make it into a boat or, like, a heart. You know, like, love my mom. Like, it did not look like that, though, but Jacob, your mom is major. So cool. I'm gonna read, how and when did you first learn your craft? What drew you to it? She said, in May of 2015, I turned my son's spelt pancakes into a lion for a bit of fun, and he absolutely loved it. I had so much fun making the creations and seeing my son's enjoyment that we continued to do it and turned it into a career. So fun. I love it. This is awesome. This is by Ike, who's from Nigeria but now lives in New York, and he kind of did like this, it's almost like a, he had like this moment where he was like sitting on his rooftop, I believe, and he just to like get some air, and realized, he said, I realized time has stopped for everyone, both essential and non-essential workers, but more in a cerebral way. We all had to move in with our lives. No matter how drastically different things had become, we all felt like lab rats stuck in our cycles and clouds. And he kind of make like this futuristic painting of like people like coming off of their rooftops, or like supplies being dropped off, and like the NYPD circling over, and like everyone in like hazmat suits. Kind of like a sci-fi take on coronavirus in Brooklyn, which is like so dope. I love it. Next is Eric MacArthur, who is another photographer who is from Phoenix, Arizona, now lives in Brooklyn, and he photographed like his community kind of in and starting to come out of quarantine. And so this is like a film roll, just of like a day of like phase 1 of like re-emergence from quarantine. And I love that. And one of the questions, what's one thing you want the world to know about you and your art? He said, I'm driven by this sense of nostalgia, this misplaced longing. I want my images to convey all the tenderness and insecurity of being Black, Latin, and gay in New York. And I think like I love his work because I think that he's like an amazing storyteller. And that's why I love that he didn't just choose one image, like he did a whole roll, because I really think it shows like he said, exactly what he wants to convey. I love it. This is a really fun one. This is by Emily Joyce, at Emily Joyce Artwork. And all her work, like if you look up what she does, she always takes like historical art pieces and then mixes them with like current media to create like these kind of like mishmashed pieces. Someone said, did all of them do these pieces in quarantine? Yeah. Everyone did this in quarantine and then photographed their images themselves and sent them to us. Like this was all done socially distanced, via Dropboxes, emails, back and forth, Zoom calls, phone calls. All this is done in quarantine. So Emily wanted to do her take on quarantine by doing like a self-care day, but with a gentle, she says, a gentle Venus-like figure from a painting by French painter William Bouguereau, I want to say. If I like totally messed up that name, I'm sorry. But she placed her in a modern interior space, taking the time to self-care amidst subtle reminders that things are falling apart around her. So like she's laying on her bed reading the newspaper that reads a global pandemic, but she has pizza boxes and chips and a face mask and wine, and her wine's falling over, and like I feel this. And also what's so cute is she made her pizza Gigi's Pizza, which I was like so touched by. I love it. Someone asked, what did someone just ask that I just saw? Let me scroll up. How did you pick these artists? I explained earlier that some of them are artists that I already followed, and most of the artists, there was a social media submission process with me and V Magazine where people used a hashtag and they showed their work, and then once they were chosen, they were given the theme of the journal, and they could take it however they wanted and make it and send it to us. So Emily is from Toronto, Canada. This is Ron, whose account is Conal Bread, and he is from Japan, and he makes bread art. You need to follow him because like every day you can just wake up, check his page, and he will slice open a baked goodness and he will turn it at you and you'll be like, what? Yeah. So he made this book. He called it a bread book, that when he cut it in half and opened it, it was two bears socially distancing, but still sending love. It's so cute, and it's made of bread, and here it is on a... Can you imagine, like, just eating that for breakfast? Like, look, he does, like, those bears are bred, those bees are bred. But if you go on his account, he does so many amazing things. He said, one of his questions was, what is your dream project? He said, I want my designed bread to be produced in many other bakeries. It would be great if people could actually buy cute breads. Like, I would totally buy a loaf. If they sold loaves of bread at the store that had images in them, would definitely buy those. So, Ron, I support this message. That is so fun. Again, buy the journal to read all of the questions and all of the questionnaires by these artists because they're just amazing. This is by Kike, who is a mixed media collagist. And he makes amazing collages. I love his work, and he explains that through the theme Your Time is Quarantine, he used materials, packaging, scraps that were available at home, which is something he usually tends to introduce in his pieces, but obviously at this time it's all he had to use because the art stores weren't open. He said, we went through a very strict confinement lockdown in Spain. Yeah, he's from Spain. Did I mention that? So those were the only materials I had since the art supply stores were closed. I just said that. I also got messy with my daughter and let her use my tools. We both learned a lot from each other, and I used some of her scribbles on the piece. Kids are abstract artists at their fullest, and he made like an awesome collage with stuff he found at home. And I hope that like everyone inspires you guys in a way to get creative at home during this time and express yourselves and find peace and creativity. We have only 2 left. I know this is long, sorry guys. I just wanted to show you and talk about each artist specifically. Our next artist is John Moody. He's from New Orleans, is still there right now. It's where he painted this piece, which is titled Will You Revolution With Us. It's so beautiful. Has like so much like movement and emotion, and he explains, I took on this year's journal theme by creating work relative to our current worldly status and racial conversation. This piece underwent so many forms and recreation processes. Ultimately, by using emotion through color, shape, and expression, I aim to create a piece which exemplifies empowerment and triumph using a subject figure. Amazing. I love it. His 3 keepsakes were Xbox Live party chats, studio music, and New Orleans specialty foods like gumbo. Love! Again, I've said this, but buy the journal and you can read all of the artists' Q&As and learn about their creative process in quarantine and about them, and you can follow them and support them and buy their stuff and throw your money at them. This is by Amber Doe, who is from Philly, NYC. She grew up in both places, and now she's in the desert with her mom and her niece, I want to say. And I think her niece helped her draw on her questionnaire, which I love. Amber made her version of a prayer mat, which is so beautiful. I love it. She answers the question, how have you grown creatively during quarantine, if you feel you have? She said, the explosion of the BLM protests forced me to acknowledge microaggressions that really hurt me, but also inspire my work. Also, each artist in here will also give a cause or organization they care about. They'll explain a dream project. They'll explain what they want you to know about their art. Name keepsakes that were around them, so like snacks, candles, whatever was with them. Someone said, how long is the book? It's about 68 pages. No, 64 pages. So then in the back we have all of the pieces that are in the journal with the title of the work and which artist it's by, so you can see that. And then we have the closing credits, which says front cover art by Gigi Hadid. That is me. Our editorial staff, our art and fashion editors, our digital editors, our business partners. I should say V Magazine's business partners. I'm just a guest editor. I'm just working here. And then it has all of the names of the artists again, and it explains that the back cover is by Austin, my friend Austin, who obviously is a contributor in the book. She did this in partnership with Black Lives Matter, and it is creative directed by Patrice Coulors, who is a co-founder of Black Lives Matter, and gave us the message that she wanted on the back. It says the movement is calling to defund the police, Black Lives Matter, and Austin made this. Thank you so much, Austin. Thank you so much, Patrice. And oh my god, what is biting my arm? Ow. I love that this is the back cover. I'm so honored that it is. Again, I'm gonna take you into the sunlight for people that missed it in the beginning. This is how the cover will look inside. If you take it in the dark, it will be glow in the dark. Wait, we're connecting. It will turn orange and you will see the cover. And yes, the newsstands now. That is the whole journal, $55, but you are getting so much good art. You're getting 60 plus pages of art, and percentage of proceeds will go to ACLU, NAACP, Black Lives Matter, and Campaign Zero. I will match, sorry, it was saying reconnecting. I will match in donation what is raised from yeah, I really hope you guys love it. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Enjoy. Sending love with this journal to all homes around the world. It says reconnecting, but I'm gonna go now. Peace, love, blessings. Thanks for watching. I'll save this also on my IGTV. Bye. Did it end? Oh no.